What if everything you believed about where you have to live was a lie someone else told you? I want you to think about your monthly expenses right now. Rent, groceries, health insurance, car payment, utilities. Add it all up in your head. Now imagine cutting that number by 70%. Not by downsizing, not by sacrificing, by upgrading to a place with better food, cleaner air, world-class hospitals, and a pace of life that doesn't grind you into dust. That place exists, and most Americans have never seriously considered it. Its name is Malaysia, and once you see what I'm about to show you, you're going to have a very uncomfortable conversation with yourself. But wait, before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my essential stuff. Comment, "I subscribe," below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. With that said, let's get started. Let me give you some numbers, fast, because I know you're skeptical. Average one-bedroom apartment in Kuala Lumpur, $400 to $600 a month. Fully furnished, often with a pool and a gym. The same apartment in Austin, Texas? $1,800. Minimum. A full meal, and I mean a real meal, rice, protein, vegetables, sambal, fresh juice, at a local hawker stall, $1.50 to $3. Private doctor's visit at a world-class hospital in KL, $15 to $40. No insurance. No referral. Walk-in. Internet speed? Malaysia ranks 28th in the world for broadband. The US ranks 10th, but Americans pay 3 times more for it. According to Numbio's 2024 Cost of Living Index, Malaysia is 79% cheaper than the United States on daily expenses. Let that sink in. 79%. That's not a discount. That's a different economic reality. And yet, most Americans will finish this video, nod, and go back to scrolling their bills. Why? I'll tell you exactly why in a moment. But first, I need to tell you about Gary. Gary is 61 years old. Retired schoolteacher. Columbus, Ohio. He spent 34 years in a classroom shaping other people's futures while quietly watching his own unravel. By 2021, he'd burned through nearly half of his 401k just covering the basics. His blood pressure medication alone was costing him $210 a month. He was eating sandwiches 3 nights a week to stretch his budget. Then a Facebook post showed up in his feed. A photo, a man about his age sitting on a balcony with a coffee, overlooking turquoise water, smiling in a way that looked almost suspicious. The caption said, "Penang, Malaysia. Rent, $550. Life, priceless." Gary told me he stared at that post for 45 minutes. 3 months later, he was on a plane, $380 round trip on AirAsia, landing in Kuala Lumpur at 6 a.m. with 1 suitcase and no plan beyond a 30-day tourist visa. He never bought a return ticket. Gary now lives in a 2-bedroom condo in Penang. Pool, sea view, gym, $680 a month. His blood pressure medication? $12. His full monthly expenses including food, transport, entertainment, and utilities? Under $1,400. "I feel like I stole something," he told me. Standing on that balcony. Sun coming up over the Straits of Malacca. Half laughing, half emotional. Back home, I was surviving. Here, I'm living. But Gary almost didn't stay. And the reason why will make your stomach drop. The number one thing Americans say when they hear about Malaysia? Asterisk, "But is it safe?" Asterisk, "I understand it. We're conditioned." The news has painted Southeast Asia with a broad stroke of chaos and risk for decades. So let me give you the actual data. The Global Peace Index 2023, published by the Institute for Economics and Peace, the most comprehensive global safety ranking in the world, places Malaysia at number 20. The United States? Number 131. Out of 163 countries, America is less peaceful than Malaysia, Portugal, Botswana. Now meet Linda. Linda is 58. Former ER nurse from San Antonio, Texas. When her friend suggested Malaysia for a retirement trial, Linda's daughter cried. Genuinely cried. Begged her not to go. Linda went anyway. On her 12th night in Georgetown, Penang, a UNESCO World Heritage City, Linda walked alone at midnight along a lantern-lit alley, eating char kway teow from a street vendor who'd been making the same recipe for 40 years. Back home, she told me, I wouldn't walk to my mailbox after 9 p.m. without checking over my shoulder. She came back from that 30-day trip, packed 3 suitcases, and applied for the Malaysia My Second Home visa. Now she splits her year between Houston for the grandkids and Penang for her soul. And the sensory detail she keeps coming back to? The smells. Lemongrass. Charcoal smoke. Salt air off the harbor. It hits you like a wall, but a warm one. And then you realize you've been living in grayscale. But here's where I have to be honest with you. Because there is a hidden danger no one is talking about. And it's not crime. It's not the food. It's not the heat. It's something happening right now, to the visa program itself. In 2021, the Malaysian government made a decision that sent the expat community into meltdown. The Malaysia My Second Home visa, the MM2H program that Gary, Linda, and thousands of others used to build their new lives, had its requirements completely restructured. The old program asked for roughly $27,000 in liquid assets, accessible to most middle-class Americans thinking about retirement abroad. The new program? $130,000 in liquid assets, minimum, along with a mandatory monthly offshore income requirement and a fixed deposit that essentially locks your money. Expat Facebook groups with 40,000 members exploded overnight. Petitions were filed. Long-term residents, people who'd built lives, businesses, and families in Malaysia, were suddenly facing impossible new thresholds. According to a 2024 report by the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MM2H applications dropped 43% after the new requirements took effect. Gary beat the deadline by 4 months. He still gets emotional about it. But here's the thing, and this is the part most people miss entirely. There's a back door. And it's wide open. The DE Rantau Digital Nomad Visa, launched in 2023, is currently one of the easiest long-stay visas in Southeast Asia for Americans. $195 per year. 12-month validity. Open to remote workers and freelancers with a minimum monthly income of around $24,000 annually. It's not a retirement visa. But for anyone under 60 who works remotely, even part-time, it's the golden ticket. And very few Americans know it exists. That's when things got even more interesting. Let's talk about something that genuinely humbles Americans when they land in Malaysia. Healthcare. Gleneagles Hospital Kuala Lumpur is accredited by the Joint Commission International, the same global gold standard that certifies Johns Hopkins, Cleveland Clinic, and Mayo Clinic. A hip replacement at Gleneagles? Approximately $12,000 to $15,000. The same procedure at an American hospital? $35,000 to $65,000. Without full insurance coverage. Heart bypass surgery? Malaysia, $15,000. U.S. average, $150,000. A 2023 report by HSBC's Expat Explorer survey found that 67% of American expats in Malaysia reported a higher quality of life within their first 6 months, with healthcare quality and cost cited as the #1 factor. And it's not just retirement age either. Linda's 31-year-old daughter, the one who cried and begged her not to go, flew out to visit for 3 weeks. She extended her stay to 6. She's currently applying for a DE Rantau visa. Mom, she texted Linda from a rooftop cafe in KL. Why did no one tell us about this place? Gary says the same thing every time I talk to him. He says it quietly, almost to himself. I didn't realize how tired I was in America until I stopped being tired. But here's what I haven't told you yet. The most uncomfortable part of this whole story. The reason most Americans will never do this has nothing to do with money or safety or logistics. A 2022 survey by Mercer found that only 9% of Americans currently hold a valid passport. Compare that to 76% of British adults and 60% of Canadians. 9%. We are one of the most geographically immobile developed nations on Earth, and we've been told to be proud of that. We've been told the dream is here, that leaving means giving up, that the grass only looks greener. But Gary isn't on greener grass. He's on a balcony overlooking the sea, paying $12 for his medication, eating the best food of his life, and sleeping 8 uninterrupted hours a night for the first time in a decade. And Linda isn't running from America. She loves America. She goes home for Christmas, for birthdays, for the moments that matter. But she stopped letting geography be the ceiling of her quality of life. Here's what you can actually do, right now, if this is speaking to something in you. Step 1. Go for a 30-day trial. Malaysia allows Americans visa-free for 90 days as tourists. No commitment. Just go. See if it fits. Step 2. Join one of the large Malaysian expat communities online. There are Facebook groups with 40,000 plus active members who will answer every question you have within hours. People who've done exactly what Gary and Linda did. Step 3. If you work remotely, even consulting, freelance, or part-time, look up the DE Rantau Digital Nomad Visa. It costs less than a car payment. The information is out there. The door is open. The only thing standing between you and that balcony is the story you've been telling yourself about what's possible. The last time I talked to Gary, I asked him one question. If you could go back, knowing everything, would you do it sooner? He didn't even pause. I'd have done it the day I turned 50. But I was too scared of what people would think. Too scared of what I'd be giving up. He shook his head. I wasn't giving anything up. I was just finally choosing. And Linda's daughter is moving to KL next spring. So I want to leave you with one question, and I want you to actually sit with it. Write it in the comments. Because I read every single one. Is the life you're living right now worth what it's costing you? Not just financially. I mean in time, in stress, in joy, in sleep, in freedom. Because somewhere in the world, there's a version of your life that costs less and feels like more. Gary found his on a balcony in Penang.